George, Dear Mary hits bookstores this Wednesday.
Over the weekend, I had some book signings. This one was at Bookends in Ridgewood, New Jersey. It's such a pleasure to see Alex and her mom. Chris was there as well. Some of CBS 2 staff stopped by, so it was just such a thrill to see all of you. Thank you so much. I also signed copies of my book at Philipse Manor in Yonkers. There's my sister. Hey. This is where the story of George Washington and Mary Philipse all began, and the book was featured on CBS Sunday morning. So take a look.
In her debut novel, Dear George, Dear Mary, author Mary Calvi writes of Washington's first love, Mary Eliza Philipse, one of the wealthiest women in the colonies.
In the 1800s, she's written in every book there is that I could find about George Washington, and yet since then, I feel like she's sort of been left out of history.
Calvi wants to put her back with a love story that begins in 1756 as the newly minted French and Indian war hero, Colonel George Washington, is passing through New York. He stops for a party in his honor, possibly at Philipse Manor, a mansion in Yonkers. When he meets the heiress who lives there, sparks fly. But Washington's sense of duty to the King of England trumped Cupid.
If this guy has fallen for this heiress, why doesn't he make plans to take some leave?
George Washington requests time off, 10 days, 12 days, 14 days, and he writes to his commanders. He's denied every time.
It's a story that has long fascinated Calvi, who, like Mary Philipse, grew up in Yonkers. For 3.5 years, Calvi sorted through thousands of letters, publications, and journal entries. She wanted her work of fiction backed up by as many facts as she could find.
For the enemy.
Though she didn't always like where those facts took her, like to this mansion in Harlem. The author knew that Martha Washington was back in Virginia and that Philip's husband was in England. No one knows for sure where Mary Philipse was.
She wasn't upstate with her sister, and she wasn't in Yonkers with her brother. So it is possible that George Washington moved into a mansion in Harlem in which his first love was living in at the time.
Historian Richard Brookhiser, one of the world's preeminent George Washington scholars, confirms George and Mary Philipse were an item in 1756, but says while historical fiction is one thing.
Is it possible they shared this house?
We don't have any evidence of it.
Not saying it didn't happen, just saying we can't say it did happen. There are rigorous standards for something to enter the historical record.
That's right.
To read an excerpt from Dear George, Dear Mary, you can go to our website at cbsnewyork.com. But I spent years in that research, looking through all of those documents, and they just piece together like a puzzle to tell the story. So I can't wait to hear what people think about it. Please let me know what you see when you see the documents.
And congratulations, too. I know this has really been a labor of love for 3+ years, and you've done so much work on it. So congrats, really.
Thank you.